morning. Good morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose and here we are. Let us join together and start our celebration service by standing up and singing This Little Light of Mine. It's found on the left side of your program. Here we go. Relaxing our bodies and moving ever deeper into the spaciousness that Amy brought us to with her wise words. We breathe, we relax, we let go, we let God, and we invite ourselves to open our hearts and listen to the words of our sacred reading.
From More Together Than Alone by Mark Nepo. When atoms join, they form molecules. When molecules join, they form organisms. When organisms join, they form tissue. When tissue join, a body is formed. Unless interrupted, this is the unfolding of life. Similarly, when hearts are opened, they form bonds. When bonds are deepened, they form relationships. When relationships are inclusive, they expand our sense of kinship. When kinships are strengthened, a community is formed. These unions are more than a metaphor. Our impulse to join is at first biochemical. When atoms join, they become more together than alone, and life unfolds. Those of us compelled to join become the building blocks of community. When we combine with others, we grow into something greater than our individual selves. In his 1957 speech, The Birth of a New Nation, the young Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community." For King, the solidarity of the human family makes the beloved community possible. He believed that more lasting than any ideology or sense of politics is the common humanity we discover through our love and suffering. When two or more are joined by truth and benevolence, without doing harm, a lasting bond is created. This is the atom of all community.
And so we take a moment to savor the connection that is our bodies, the atoms and molecules forming tissue and organs and forming ourselves, and then the connection in this community, recognizing our human and divine selves as we join together in this awakening awareness process. And then we extend this radiance out to recognize the community of the world, the planet, the universe, recognizing that the I Am presence, another name for love, another name for God, another name for absolute reality in all that is. This is who we are right now. And so we sing together, I am remembering who I am, recognizing this truth for ourselves, for the people sitting in this room, and allowing that recognition to ripple all over the universe. And here we go. I am remembering who I am. Even the coughs are beautiful. We breathe in deeply, allowing what is to be. And then we exhale, gently opening our eyes in love and service to what is, as it is. And so it is.
If ever was called to lead the masses. What kind of revolution would I lead? Before I change the world and take some action, I'd have to change the world inside of me. Now everyone has got their own opinions on how to rearrange the other woman and man. But if we see the things we have in common, perhaps we drop our fists and lend a hand. 'Cause just like Martin, we have a dream. And just like Gandhi, we want peace. Like Mother Teresa, we want love. God grant us courage to rise above. Many dreamers paved the way before us, and yet it seems that we have just begun. If we could look beyond into our future, tell me, what would the people say that we have done? 'Cause just like Martin, we have a dream. And just like Gandhi, we want peace. Like Mother Teresa, we want love. God grant us courage to rise above. The key to our future is within our hands. Let's join together in every land, 'cause just like Martin, we have a dream, and just like Gandhi, we want peace. Like Mother Teresa, we want love. God grant us courage to rise above. Just like Martin, we have a dream. Tell me about it. Just like Gandhi, we want peace. Like Mother Teresa, we want love. God grant us courage. God grant us courage to rise, to rise, to rise above. God grant us courage to rise, to rise above.
Oh, what do they say in Wayne's World? We are not worthy. Oh my goodness. Where do we go from here? That is a Martin Luther King speech, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, I am actually, the name of this talk is called Evolving the Beloved Community, which is a quote from Martin Luther King, as Hugh mentioned in the reading, that he said that the aftermath of nonviolence is the beloved community. He also said that the aftermath of violence is emptiness, and I believe the word he used was bitterness. So what we're doing here, in my opinion, in my vision, and I hope you share that vision with all of us, is evolving something that we can call a beloved community, something that truly is that which belongs to the beloved, as Rumi said, the poet Rumi said, I belong to the beloved, and we belong to the beloved. Now, I've looked up lots of things online about what beloved community actually means, and there's lists and lists and lists of them, of characteristics of what the beloved community is. And of course, there is a beloved community here, there is a beloved community within us, and there is also the beloved community that we create in our lives outside the walls of this center, right? Some of the characteristics that Mark Nepo mentions in his book, More Together Than Alone, one of them is the Sanskrit word ahimsa, which means harmlessness, or the avoidance of what? Nonviolence, yeah. Nonviolence, harmlessness, and not perpetuating injury. And Mark Nepo and others say that it is actually more than that. It is also actively living the opposite of those qualities. So proactively being helpful instead of harmful, right? Ahimsa. Hello. So that person, when you get home, you tell them that that part of the message was exactly for them, right? Okay. You know that I love cell phones. I love cell phones. Cell phones entertain me to no end, and I hope they entertain all of us. Another quality of the beloved community is something called Ren from Confucianism. Has anyone heard of that? I hadn't heard of it until I read this book. Ren is the quality of empathy that we have. I was thinking of one of the greatest examples of Ren was when the Thomas fires were burning, and so many of us were concerned about one another, and so many of us were wondering how our friends were and our animal companions, and just worrying about the other, and concern and empathy and grace for the other. That's what Ren is. So certainly it's ahimsa and Ren. They create the beloved community, kindness that we practice here, that we talk a lot about here. But when I went deeper, when I really sat and meditated on what it is to be part of a beloved community, what it is to create a beloved community and evolve it, the phrase that came up to me, for us, is that we are creating a community of bodhisattvas. That's not too big for us, is it? Let me explain what a bodhisattva is, just in case anyone is not familiar with that term. There's a story in More Together Than Alone in the Mark Nepo book where Mark Nepo talks about three individuals that are walking through the desert, and they're tired, and they're hot, and they're hungry, and they're thirsty. And they see this wall in the distance, and they drag themselves over to the wall. And one of them climbs up on the shoulders of the others, and he sits on the rim of the wall, and he says, eureka, there is food, there is water, there is greenery here, there is foliage. We're home, this is it. And he leaps off the wall, and he jumps down, and he helps himself to the food and the water. The other one, the second one, scrambles up the wall and says the same thing, and he leaps down and helps himself to the food and the water. The bodhisattva jumps up on the wall, looks down, sees the food, sees the water, and says, oh, wow, I wonder if there's anybody else in the desert that would benefit from this. And he jumps off the wall out of the garden and goes to find other wanderers in the desert. A bodhisattva is one who sacrifices his own bliss, own enlightenment, own nirvana, for the well-being of others. Does anybody struggle with the word sacrifice? You don't? Yes, Amy, that's why you're in the talk today, okay? All right. That's why, we don't talk a lot about sacrifice in religious science, but I think that we've framed the word incorrectly. You know, back in the day when the bodhisattva was invented, they didn't have a lot going on. Well, maybe they did. David Kerrigan's going to email me and correct me when the service is over. But let's just say, like the monks that became bodhisattvas, like they didn't have social media, you know, they didn't take a picture of their food and post it on Facebook. Maybe it was easier back then. Who knows? I don't know. It's probably never completely easy to be a bodhisattva, except when it is, because it is really easy, and I'll tell you how it's easy. I think that we have reframed sacrifice to equate it with martyrdom. Has anybody here ever lived with a martyr? Perhaps your parents? Did you ever hear, I've slaved over a hot stove for hours and now you won't eat the food I cooked? That's martyrdom, right? Anybody's mother say that? Or father, right? My father was more of a, we used to have to walk 3 miles in the snow. Right, yeah. Backwards, awesome. Wow. Yeah. Whereas now, no, to get to school or whatever, and we didn't have the basic luxuries that you did. I read on Facebook, so it must be true, that if people of my generation, if people of my generation were to speak to their kids, that we would say, you know what we had to do when we were kids? We had to walk 7 feet across orange shag carpet just to change the channel on the television. Oh, I like all this audience participation. Woohoo! Yeah, so when, you know, I think that form of martyrdom is kind of what we think of sometimes when we think of sacrifice. And what that form of martyrdom is using our perceived misfortune to make others feel sorry or guilty or badly about themselves. Sacrifice is something quite different. Sacrifice, the word means to make sacred, to make sacred. And part of the sacrifice, I would say the first sacrifice of the bodhisattva is to sacrifice internally that which prevents us from recognizing our unique gifts as they are expressed here on the planet Earth. So I have a great example of that. It's about somebody here, and this person gave me permission to speak about it. You may have heard this before. You may know her. She's tall and she's blonde. She may have been on pulpit support today. Let's call her Mamie. Mamie was raised Quaker. And one of the most striking things that I've learned about Mamie's childhood, I can't call you Mamie. She's so not a Mamie. One of the most striking things I learned about her childhood was that she wanted a Barbie, and her mother wouldn't let her have one. Because I don't think there's a Quaker Barbie, do you? I can't see Barbie in the outfit, you know? But Amy was really into fashion, and she wanted a Barbie doll. And that's really, by the way, I've read the biography of Barbie, and that's why she was created, so little girls could express their love of fashion. That's why she has that strange body. I won't go into details. But anyway, Amy's mother wouldn't let her have a Barbie. And for her whole life, Amy has shared with me that she has kind of, you know that guy in the Quaker Oats box? That guy? She has an internal one of those, dictating who she should be. Whereas Amy, who wanted a Barbie when she was just a little girl, loves fashion, loves to create beautiful things, had a successful career as a dress designer, as a wedding dress designer and other dresses, creates beautiful art now, and she likes to have a lot of beauty. She likes to have a lot of beauty in her life, which sometimes means having nice stuff in her life, right? So perhaps the sacrifice for somebody like Amy and somebody like you is to look within and say, these are the gifts that Spirit has given me, to listen to her mind, to listen to her heart, to listen to her body and say, I was here on earth to create great beauty, and I need to sacrifice my inner Quaker. He can go bother somebody else. He can go on the container of oats where he belongs. He can just be his beautiful Quakery self, but I am here to express beauty, and so I call forth beauty and opulence and grace and wonder in my life, and then I take the way that this feeds me, and I feed the world with it. Does that sound like a better definition of sacrifice? Yes, and it may not necessarily be beauty for you. It may be something else. You know, I was raised by German Stoics, and for me, it's very, very hard for me to actually make time to create a nutritious meal and eat it. And yet I know that I can do this job, this speaking job, this thinking deep thoughts job, this caring for others job, I can do it much more effectively when I'm fed, when I eat well, when I take the time to cook, when I don't zip by 7-Eleven and get a cookie for lunch, right? So that's what I'm calling forth in all of you. The first sacrifice is to listen to your heart, to listen to your body, to listen to the mind of your heart, and to recognize what it is in your life. What gift has Spirit given to you? Because Spirit needs you to express that gift. Spirit needs you to shine your light in a way that is unique to you. And then sacrifice the voices that tell you that you shouldn't shine in that way. Sacrifice. Let them go. And then sacrifice to get over the hump of making those gifts actually known in the world. That can be a challenge sometimes, can't it? Sometimes I think the challenge that gets in the way is that we think we have to go from 0 to 100 in 2 minutes. No, we start small. We start by small acts of goodness. We start by small acts of being a bodhisattva. One of the ways that we can do that is embodied in a principle here that we teach at church. We have several principles going on in this church that are named after people. One is the Fred Mondragon principle, which is be gentle with yourself. The other is the Lynn Dorgan principle, which is, Lynn Dorgan used to attend here, and one time there was a spot on the building that needed to be cleaned, and we didn't have a ladder that could reach it, so she had this other guy, Steve, hold her by her feet over the building, hanging down over the edge to clean the spot. I don't know why she doesn't go here anymore, The Lynn Dorgan principle is very much what I was just talking about. It's recognizing that you have a gift and you have a calling, and not everybody may want to do yours, and that means that you don't have to do what everybody wants you to do either, because you may not want to do theirs, right? But the most current principle, poor Meenal, is the Meenal principle. There's Meenal is a woman's name, and the Meenal principle is to recognize the gifts that others have, that the ways that others have blessed you, and to speak of them out loud to that person. It is a beautiful thing. It is becoming a verb in my life. I'm going to Meenal Linda Drevenstedt after church today. So I invite you all to Meenal. Poor Meenal. No, we're not going to her house for lunch unless she wants us to. I'm going to Meenal somebody right now, and that person is our birthday girl, Annette Bennett. Yeah, no, you can stay where you are for the moment, okay. Annette is so good at looking at the world and seeing where there is a need and filling it. I've shared with you before that one of Annette's greatest gifts and one of her greatest hobbies, is this thing that sings through her, is to go to thrift stores, and she gets all kinds of stuff. You mentioned a passing comment, oh, I wish I had a stethoscope again. Next thing you know, there's a stethoscope that she found in a thrift store in your inbox. Oh my gosh. So if you ever need anything, just talk to Annette. She'll find it in a thrift store. But Annette has a story about a whole string of bodhisattva events that took place in the congregation, because it is happening here and now. We just are amplifying it. And I'm going to have Annette come forward on her birthday to speak about this bodhisattva incident that happened last Sunday. And here she is. Yeah. Knock yourself out. Well, yeah.
Oh, microphone. Oh, hi. So I've told this story like 4 or 5 times, but every time I tell it like in the wrong order, so I'm really going to try to tell it the right way. So last week in the sanctuary, I don't know how many of you were here. Were you here? It was cold. It was really cold. Yeah. Cold. So I knew it was going to be really cold, so I brought a nice big warm blanket with me into the sanctuary, and I'm sitting in the back. I'm all bundled up. And I was sitting next to Bernie, because Bernie usually sits next to me too. And then at the beginning of the service, she noticed someone come in, and she said, I bet she's going to need a blanket too, because I know she's going through some medical stuff. So I thought, oh, okay, well, I have a spare here, and I'll just give her my spare, when it's opportune. And I didn't want to make a big deal of it, so I waited till Karen Mitchell was done singing. And then I ran up the aisle, or I was going to do that. Okay, so I was going to give her my... See, I knew it. Oh, God.
You're doing great.
So I was going to give her my spare, which was kind of this, kind of flimsy little blanket, because I really loved the one I was wearing. But then, I had to wait to take it to her. And in those moments, I thought, yeah, I'm just not going to feel good about this, giving her this little blanket when I'm wearing this big fluffy one, and I'm not experiencing any medical issues right now. So I decided to give her mine. So I waited till Karen was done singing, and I gave her my blanket. And then I went back to sit down. I got a bunch of high fives, which seemed silly. But so then I sat down, and I put the spare blanket on me, this little paper thin thing. And I thought, that's fine. And then a man walked in, and he was looking for a place to sit, and he wanted to sit where Ed usually sits, next to his lovely wife, Lucky. And we usually discourage people from sitting there, so Ed can sit next to her, but he said, yeah, fine, sit right here. So he sits down, and then within a matter of minutes, we noticed, Bernie and I, his shoulders, he's shaking because it's so freezing in here. And I'm like, okay, I gotta give him my blanket. So I said, Bernie, will you give him my blanket? And so she did. She wrapped him up. And she also asked him, do you need hot tea, coffee, anything? And he's like, hot water would be great. So she went and she got him some hot water. And he seemed to be okay for a minute. And then, oh, wait, I knew I forgot a part. Okay, so when Bill Seal, where are you? You're here. He saw me put my second blanket on this guy. And he stood up and took his coat off and walked over and put it over me. And it was this really nice, warm jacket. And I was so appreciative. So then we noticed that the guy was still cold, really cold, and even with this hot water in his blanket. So I leaned over and I kind of motioned to Bill, can I give him your coat? And he's like, absolutely. So I took Bill's coat off, and I put it on the guy, and it covered his neck, and he was warm, and he stopped shaking. And we were like, yeah. But then when I turned around to sit down, Bernie had taken off her coat. And gave it to me. I'm like, but no, and she's like, no, I'll be fine. So, but the part about it that with Bonnie's talk was about how sometimes when bad things happen, that it's an opportunity for good to come up out of it. And she used as an example the swastika that was tagged on the temple on Foothill, and Judy talked about, she lives in that neighborhood, and it was just a temple to her. And then once it had the tagging on it, it became the community really rose up, and everybody thought, this is really, really wrong. We can't have this in our community. But so Bonnie's talking about that, and meanwhile, in the back, it's still cold in the sanctuary, and everybody is just this outpouring of love for this gentleman who came in and was cold. So that was really cool. And also I want to thank Norm, because apparently the heat's working today. So, thank you. Yeah, no blankets required. So that's it.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you. Thank you. And when Annette told that story, when she told it to me initially last week, I didn't get any sense that it was a painful sacrifice for her. It was a little iffy at the beginning to give away that first blanket, but then the sacrifice of giving the blanket brought so much joy. And that's the thing that I know about sacrifice when it's done right, It's like there's a saying that you can't outgive God, and I think that you can't outgive sacrifice. You can't out-sacrifice sacrifice, because sacrifice means to make sacred. And at some point, when you get really good at this, when you recognize what is yours to do and what is yours to share, and you sacrifice, you give something up for the benefit of somebody else, then it no longer feels like sacrifice. It starts feeling like bliss. So sacrifice becomes bliss. Like I said, you can't out-sacrifice sacrifice. You can't outgive God. And you certainly can't out-meanle. Because, every time we meanle somebody, we're meanle, just so you know. Okay? All right. So, now, what I always say, often say, is that these little acts of kindness that we practice here in this spiritual center make a difference for the whole world. They ripple out. And then there are times when something bad happens and I'm like, wow, I hope that's true. I hope what I say on Sundays is true, that these little acts of kindness that we do really are changing the world, because right now the evidence is not looking so great. But we need to change our vision, right? Mary Oliver, beautiful poet, passed away this week. The quote that I often share with you about her is that the rules for living a life are to pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. So let me tell you about it, okay? Let me tell you about the impact that this community is having that started not only, that's into the future, but that's also into the past. Years and years and years ago, Nipun Mehta, one of my spiritual teachers, was his great-great-grandfather lived in India. He had no money. He would take little bits of wheat and feed the anthills on his morning walk. Nipun said that this did not seem like a big gesture, but it shaped the evolution of his grandparents and his parents and shaped his evolution. Nipun Mehta, who now has an organization that is about 500,000 people strong, doing acts of kindness all over the world. Beyond that. At the same time, in the past, in the distant past, there were 3 converging souls coming together. My parents, who met at a roller skating rink. Lonnie's parents, who met I don't know where. A woman named Connie, her parents met I don't know where. Connie also doesn't go here anymore, but we didn't hang her off the side of a building, just so you know. Now you hear the names Lonnie, Bonnie, and Connie, right? That's already a sign from God. The triplets are converging here at the church. And Connie sends me an email with a speech by Nipun Mehta, who I'd never heard about, a beautiful speech where he tells the story about the ants, which I just loved. And I send it to Lonnie, and Lonnie says, can we bring that guy here? And I say, well, I'll try. You know, it's kind of hard to get people to come all the way down here, but yeah, I'll try. And so we bring him here, and he gives a speech, and he changes the face of this congregation by teaching us about small acts of kindness and trusting the ripples. And that becomes our vision, that becomes our mission, that becomes what we do. And it evolves and it evolves and it evolves. I go to India a year ago. I meet Nemo Patel for the second time, and we chat, and I see the children perform. I see the children of the Jai Jagat troupe perform, and I see them in their theater, and I see how beautiful they are and how much they have to give to the world. I come back here, I get an email from Nemo 6 months later and say, hi, we're raising money for this tour. I'm hiking with my dogs, I get a vision, and I say, wow, I really want to give him $10,000. I really want to give him $10,000. How am I going to raise that kind of money? And I was thinking, I'm just going to do it on my own because the congregation hasn't seen these kids. They don't know these kids. They haven't seen them perform. They don't know what they're up to. They don't know the power of this.
देश पहले वो है जो गरीबों की मदद करे, कि किसी की मदद करे, किसी को खाना नहीं है, वो बहुत भूखा रहता है, रास्ते पे रहता है, उसको खाना खिलाए, उसको सहारा दे, देश पहले वो है।
सुपर हीरो जैसे हम छोटे छोटे काम करते हैं, अच्छे काम, जैसे हमने आज किसी की मदद की तो वो एक अच्छे काम कहलाता है, जिससे हम सुपर हीरो कहलाते हैं। हम बहुत बड़े सुपर हीरो में छोटे छोटे काम से भी सुपर हीरो बन सकते हैं।
मुझे अभी एहसास हुआ कि गांधी जी सब लोग जितने लोग हैं हमारे देश में जो शहीद हो गए, मर गए हैं जो हमारे देश के लिए, तो मुझे एहसास पहली बार हुआ कि गांधी जी का शरीर नहीं है, तो उनका विचार, जो प्रार्थना, सब कुछ जो भी कर रहे थे सभी बच्चों में आ गया है। तो मुझे एहसास हुआ कि ये बच्चे गांधी जी को देखा भी नहीं होगा तो इतनी अच्छी तरह से कर सकता है, वो गांधी जी उनके हृदय में बसे हुए हैं।
कोई भी चीज़ नई क्रिएट करनी होती तो उसके अंदर बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स और तकलीफ़ें तो होती है, पर उस तकलीफ़ के बाद ही कुछ अच्छा होता है। तो जो उन लोग ने उसके अंदर प्रेम के साथ पेशेंस रखा ना, वो बहुत अच्छा, वो मेरे को बहुत अच्छा सीखने मिला कि लाइफ में ऐसा बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती है, जाती है, और वही टाइम में अगर तुम पेशेंस रखो, प्रेम के साथ रखो तो और अच्छा सोचते रहो तो अच्छा ही होता है। 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8।
जय जगत शो में से ये खुशी मिली कि दूसरे अलग अलग सेंटर के लोग थे, तो हम लोग जिसकी फ्रेंड बने तो सब एकता से रह कर रहे थे। ज़रूरी नहीं है कि ये जो माना गुलजार में ऐसा है कि हिंदू मुस्लिम दोनों, तो वहाँ कोई ऐसा नहीं कर रहा था कि हम मुस्लिम के साथ नहीं बैठेंगे, कि हम हिंदू के साथ नहीं। तो वहाँ ऐसी खुशी थी कि सब एक साथ मिल के काम कर रहे थे, तो मुझे ये खुशी मिली।
The law of love can best be understood and learned through little children. That's exactly why we have faith in our children, that they can produce and create and perform this type of show and not only share this message, but try their best to live this message. What we're looking to do is walk on a journey together, and we're in the process to select a small group of kids. More important than producing a stage show is the process of actually living those values, so that when we are on stage, we're actually sharing what we truly believe in and what we practice in. We're going to be walking on this journey that we're calling the Jai Jagat journey together to live the values of love all, serve all, and seeing the world as our family.
But I underestimated all of you because I came in here and I told you about the kids, and in a record amount of time, like 3 weeks or something, we raised $10,000. And because of your generosity, because of your grace, because of anthills, because of roller skates, because of Lonnie and Connie and Bonnie, the triplets converging and bringing Nipun Mehta here, because of all of that coming together, these kids are getting the opportunity of a lifetime. And more than that, the world is getting the opportunity of the lifetime to hear them perform their message of peace and healing and compassion, ahimsa, Ren, the beloved community, all of it congealed here, in this moment, in every moment when we have the eyes to see it. That is how the world works. And you are part of it. We are the beloved community. Let us live like that truth is true. Let us pray. I turn within and trust. I trust that which is beyond time, that which is beyond space. I trust emptiness, I trust fullness, I trust all of it. For it is the life of spirit, the life of God, the life of love, whatever we call it, it simply is. And so I breathe into this trust, knowing that there truly is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life, right here and right now. And we connect with that. We unify with it. It becomes real for us. It becomes embodied so that we may live like the truth of that basic reality is true. That the I Am presence is living and moving and having its perfect being through all of us, through all of our details, through all of our ups and downs, through all of our joys and sorrows. There is that one perfect, all-inclusive life that is love. Living from this place, living from this knowing, I know now that each single person in this room is inspired to live the grace of their calling. That beautiful, inspirational point of light that they are, that beautiful piece of spirit, wholeness of spirit, hologram of spirit, the ocean and the drop in the ocean, that each of us is called in unique ways. And so we recognize that and we realize that and we live it. We live it, sharing it with the world to bless ourselves and to bless others. I know that right here and right now we are forming an incredible vortex of circulation, an incredible vortex of love that truly does have an impact on our personal lives, on our collective and shared lives, and on lives of the people that we don't even know, and lives of all beings everywhere, lives of the planet Earth. And I breathe into the weight and magnitude of that, and I just allow it to be, because it is. And so I'm grateful, so grateful for this truth, so grateful to speak it and to hear it and to be with it in a deeper, ever-expanding way. I'm grateful for this teaching. I bless all paths to God. Churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, all paths. Fundamentalists, atheists, everyone, for everyone is a blessing. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness, so filled with gratitude and love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the divine mystery of love and law. And together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
Yeah. I've been saving up these tears for 1,000 days and 1,000,000 years. Now's the time to release all the chains that bind me. I need amazing grace from a friendly face to help me see some love in the human race. Maybe I can turn on the light that wants to shine within me. So I'm gonna say yes, yes, yes to love. I'm gonna say yes, yes, ooh, yes to love. Well, there's a saying, love conquers all, so I surrender before I fall. No need to fight, I answer the call of destiny. All the pain and all of the tears, all the shame and all of the fears, suddenly they just disappear the moment I say yes. So I'm gonna say yes, yes, oh yes to love. I'm gonna say yes, oh yes, ooh, yes to love. You can't give to someone else until you start to love yourself. Gonna say yes, I'm gonna say yes, I'm gonna say yes to love. I'm gonna say yes, I'm gonna say yes, ooh, gonna say yes to love. Ooh, yes, you can do what you wanna, you can be what you wanna when you say yes to love. Yes. You can raise $10,000. You can walk 1,000,000 miles when you say yes to love. Oh, so I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. Are you gonna say yes?